The Bible views wealth not merely as the accumulation of possessions, but as a means to leave a lasting legacy that honors God, aligns with His eternal purposes, and impacts future generations. In Matthew 6:19-21, believers are reminded not to store up treasures on earth, where they can be lost, but instead to invest in treasures in heaven by focusing on values and purposes that endure beyond this life. Earthly wealth is temporary, but the spiritual riches gained through love, service, and obedience to God's word are eternal. When wealth is built according to biblical principles, it becomes more than a personal pursuit. It serves as a tool for fulfilling God's vision. This includes supporting family, strengthening communities, and fostering spiritual growth. The Bible emphasizes responsible stewardship, encouraging believers to manage their resources wisely, not just for personal benefit, but to bless others and make a lasting impact. By aligning financial goals with biblical teachings, the focus shifts from accumulating wealth for self-interest to using it as a means to reflect one's faith and serve others. Matthew 6 underscores that material riches are fleeting, while heavenly treasures, rooted in love, service, and obedience, are everlasting. Wealth building should never take priority over devotion to God. Rather, it should be grounded in faith, ensuring a lasting impact that transcends this life. When financial pursuits align with God's values, wealth ceases to be an end goal and becomes a tool for positive change. By prioritizing God's kingdom, individuals open themselves to both material and spiritual blessings. This mindset fosters wealth that endures, strengthens faith, and influences every aspect of financial decisions. Proverbs 13:22 highlights the importance of leaving a legacy, stating that a righteous person leaves an inheritance for future generations. This principle extends beyond money to include teaching biblical financial wisdom, stewardship, generosity, and gratitude. Passing down these values empowers children to manage wealth wisely, ensuring it remains a blessing rather than a source of division. Wise investing, saving, and spending, when aligned with God's principles, help establish a financial foundation that reflects His faithfulness. Inviting God into financial matters brings peace, as every debt, worry, and concern is entrusted to Him. Establishing a financial covenant with God is more than seeking help. It is a commitment to stewardship, trusting Him to provide. Many struggle with where to start, but biblical guidance offers a pathway to overcoming debt and achieving financial freedom. Deuteronomy 8, verse 18, reminds believers that God provides the ability to generate wealth, reinforcing His covenant and promise to sustain His people. Recognizing God as the source of prosperity shifts the perspective from self-reliance to divine provision. Wealth should be seen as a resource entrusted by God to be managed in ways that fulfill His purposes and establish a legacy that honors Him. Building wealth biblically is not solely for personal gain, but for leaving a lasting impact grounded in faith. Proverbs 13:22 affirms that a true inheritance is more than financial. It includes spiritual wisdom and moral guidance. The measure of true wealth is not in what is left behind, but in how it shapes lives and creates a lasting legacy. An eternal perspective on wealth ensures that blessings are passed down for generations. Legacy is not just about financial resources, but about instilling values that help future generations navigate life with wisdom and faith. True wealth includes teaching children the importance of stewardship, generosity, and gratitude. When they see these principles in action, whether through tithing, helping others, or prioritizing well-being, they learn that wealth is meant to uplift others, not just oneself. Beyond financial inheritance, spiritual legacy is invaluable. Faith practices, prayer, and trust in God provide guidance and stability beyond material wealth. The Bible teaches that everything belongs to God and believers are stewards of His resources. Jesus' parable of the faithful steward in Luke 12:42-44 underscores responsible management, showing that those who are faithful with little will be entrusted with more. In a culture of excess, biblical stewardship calls for living within one's means, distinguishing between needs and wants, and practicing contentment. Proverbs 21:5 highlights the importance of financial planning, emphasizing that diligent planning leads to prosperity, while haste results in loss. Wise financial choices, such as saving, investing, and careful spending, honor God and reflect His wisdom. Building wealth with integrity requires patience and perseverance. Hebrews 11:1 defines faith as confidence in what is hoped for, even without immediate results. True prosperity, in line with God's plan, is often built over time. James 1:4 encourages perseverance, assuring that steadfastness leads to completeness. Trusting in God throughout the journey fosters spiritual growth, resilience, and wisdom. Galatians 6:9 urges believers not to grow weary in doing good, as they will reap a harvest in due time if they remain faithful. Wealth building according to biblical principles takes time, but persistence and trust in God lead to fulfilling financial success. Generosity is a fundamental aspect of a faith-based financial life. Malachi 3:10 calls for tithing, promising abundant blessings in return. Luke 6:38 echoes this principle, assuring that giving results in being blessed in return. Generosity shifts the focus from accumulation to using wealth for God's purposes, freeing believers from greed and materialism. Giving is not merely an obligation, but an opportunity to partner with God in blessing others. This principle fosters a cycle of abundance where acts of generosity lead to unexpected blessings. It is not just about transactions, but about deepening one's trust in God as the ultimate provider. Financial wisdom is essential for stewardship. James 1:5 encourages seeking wisdom from God, who provides it generously. Proverbs 16:3 reinforces the importance of committing plans to the Lord for his guidance. Aligning financial decisions with God's wisdom ensures clarity and protection. Wisdom involves discerning between financial choices that align with God's values and those that do not. Every investment or purchase should be examined through prayer and faith, ensuring it honors God. Seeking his guidance keeps financial decisions rooted in integrity and purpose. Placing God at the center of financial matters transforms wealth from a pursuit into a means of fulfilling his purposes. Through stewardship, generosity, and wisdom, believers build a financial legacy that glorifies God and benefits others. The true reward is not in how much wealth is accumulated, but in how it is used to serve God and create a legacy of faith for future generations. Financial wisdom extends beyond managing money. It involves recognizing when to proceed with caution and ensuring all financial decisions are based on faith and divine guidance. A key biblical principle is contentment, which brings peace regardless of financial circumstances. Philippians 4:11-13 teaches that contentment is not tied to wealth, but to trust in God's provision. Contentment helps resist the constant pursuit of more and allows believers to appreciate what they have. In a world that encourages material excess, contentment refocuses priorities on gratitude and trust in God's sufficiency. This mindset frees individuals from comparison and anxiety, promoting financial and spiritual well-being. From a practical standpoint, contentment transforms the view of wealth from an ultimate goal into a tool for service. This perspective ensures financial stability and faith-based decision-making, especially during times of uncertainty. It shifts reliance from personal effort to faith in God's provision. God desires his people to live free from debt and financial burdens. Establishing a covenant with him allows his guidance to shape financial decisions. Trusting in God's provision, as emphasized in Matthew 6:25-33, reassures believers that he knows their needs and will provide in his perfect timing. This trust involves surrendering control and acknowledging that God's wisdom surpasses human understanding. Psalm 23:1 affirms that those who follow God lack nothing. Recognizing him as the provider brings peace, even in financial struggles. Financial blessings are not meant solely for personal comfort, but for fulfilling God's purposes. Acts 20:35 teaches that giving is more blessed than receiving, while Proverbs 11:25 assures that generosity leads to prosperity. Wealth should be used to support ministries, aid those in need, and advance God's work. By prioritizing generosity, believers experience a divine flow of blessings. This mindset shifts financial goals from self-centered accumulation to purposeful giving, aligning hearts and minds with God's will. True financial peace comes not from the amount of wealth possessed, but from using resources according to God's plan. Following biblical financial principles creates a life of integrity, purpose, and generosity. This ensures not just material wealth, but treasures in heaven that endure beyond this life.